Everyone is afraid of something. Maybe you freeze up when you see a spider crawling across the wall. Perhaps public speaking turns your legs into jello, or maybe even the thought of a clown keeps you up at night. Whatever the case, it'd be hard to find a person who doesn't have at least one thing that breaks them into a cold sweat. Just be thankful you don't have any of the following phobias, or spiders and clowns would be the least of your worries. Join us as we once again enter the exciting world of fear. Here's 10 more of the most bizarre phobias that people actually have. Cheetophobia. Anyone who's seen a Japanese ghost movie knows you can make hair scary. However, if you suffer from cheetophobia, the irrational fear of hair, you really don't need the help. The name is derived from the Greek word for loose-flowing hair, chiete. Sufferers can develop pathological anxiety around anything even remotely related to the subject, whether it's hair on people's heads, loose hair on people's clothes, or even going bald. People with cheetophobia often describe the belief that hair is dirty or somehow has the ability to harm them. This results in the desire to avoid it at all costs. Emily White, a teenager from the UK, described her experiences with cheetophobia as debilitating. She told the British newspaper The Daily Mail that she can only date men with shaved heads, that she once cried for a solid hour and a half after seeing a hair floating in the toilet. It's a condition that puts a huge strain on all social interactions, public and private. Like most phobias, cheetophobia is best treated with controlled exposure and cognitive behavioral therapy. Allodoxophobia. If you ask someone with allodoxophobia what they thought of their condition, they'd have no problem telling you. However, if you told them your thoughts on the matter, they might have a panic attack. That's because allodoxophobia is the fear of opinions. The name is derived from the Greek word allo, meaning different, and the Greek word dox, meaning opinion. It's a sister phobia to doxophobia, the fear of expressing your own opinions. Except with allodoxophobia, you're afraid of other people expressing their opinions to you. While this may seem almost comical at face value, the psychological roots of this phobia are often tragic. Children who are verbally abused or overly criticized by teachers and caregivers are more likely to develop allodoxophobia. The phobia can also be caused by traumatic events involving the transfer of opinions. Sadly, the results from this condition are equally tragic. People with allodoxophobia are likely to withdraw from social situations in order to limit their risk of exposure to other people's opinions. The resulting isolation often leads to loneliness and depression. Heliophobia. Vampires. They're exciting, mysterious creatures of myth. But imagine if you had one of the biggest drawbacks of being a vampire without any of the cool powers to show for it. If that's the case for you, then you may be experiencing heliophobia, a pathological fear of the sun. The name is derived from the Greek word helios, meaning, you guessed it, sun. This fear often comes from concerns about developing skin cancer, but even more extreme cases can stem from a fear of photoaging or wrinkling. Severe instances of sun damage, such as a particularly nasty sunburn, can be one of the many triggers that sets the condition off. Single mother Lucy Jeffries gave an interview to a British newspaper appropriately named The Sun. In this interview, she claimed that she's barely left the house in daylight for 2 years because of her heliophobia. The condition is often comorbid with nosophobia, the fear of disease. The cruel irony is that people suffering from heliophobia are actually more likely to get sick than those people who aren't. Abstaining from natural light can cause some serious vitamin D deficiencies. This can result in numerous health issues, such as weakened immune systems, fatigue, and bone pain. When you're suffering from heliophobia, it's literally hard to look on the bright side. Oikophobia. If xenophobia is the fear of what's different, often used in the context of bigotry toward other nationalities, then oikophobia is the exact opposite, the fear of the familiar. Its name is derived from the Greek word oikos, meaning loosely one's family, property, and home. People suffering from oikophobia develop a fear of being inside their own home, or even homes in general, as well as a general anxiety and suspicion of common household items and appliances, such as toasters and fridges. Predictably, one of the chief causes of oikophobia is experiencing some kind of trauma in the home. Much like xenophobia, the term oikophobia also has taken on a political connotation. People experiencing national or political oikophobia are likely to become suspicious of their own country and fellow citizens within it. Unsurprisingly, usage of this term spiked in the US during the divisive 2016 election. If you suffered from oikophobia or agoraphobia, the fear of having a panic attack in wide open spaces, there'd be pretty much nowhere you could feel at ease. Decidophobia. We all have to make tricky decisions in life. For example, which college to attend, which career path we pursue, and which partner we choose. Perhaps these decisions leave us feeling stressed, maybe even a little afraid. But imagine if even minor decisions like what to have for breakfast or what color socks to wear could bring you to the edge of a panic attack. That's decidophobia, the fear of making decisions. Decidophobia is derived from the Greek and Latin word decido, meaning both to decide and to fall, and in some translations to cut. People with decidophobia are so clinically terrified of making decisions that some can get panic attacks from even thinking about it. Experts speculate that the root of decidophobia is not making the decision itself, but the possibilities lost to the sufferer when they settle upon that one decision. In other words, they're paralyzed by the potential regret of the options they don't choose. It goes without saying that this phobia can seriously impact your ability to live a productive life. Ombraphobia. There are thousands of videos on YouTube of ambient rain noise, meant to help people study, chill, and even fall asleep. However, for some people out there, namely sufferers of ombraphobia, this would be like watching a horror movie to relax. Ombraphobia, also known as pluviophobia, is the irrational fear of rain. Its name derived from the Greek word ombros, which means storm of rain. This particular phobia is more common in children than adults and tends to be comorbid with a number of other phobias. These include antlophobia, the fear of flooding, astrophobia, the fear of thunder, and aquaphobia, the fear of drowning. Interestingly, ombraphobia is a biological term as well as a psychological one. In botany, ombraphobia refers to plants that cannot withstand heavy rain. Ombraphobia is also more likely to occur in locations where heavy rain and monsoons have, on occasion, proven to be dangerous, such as India and communities along the Amazon. Thankfully, for sufferers of this phobia still in adolescence, it's common to simply grow out of it once you mature. Adults are recommended to try mild exposure therapy to treat their condition. Spectrophobia. Have you ever averted your eyes while walking past a mirror? Maybe it's because you saw a horror movie where a ghost was watching from behind the glass. Maybe you suffer from low self-esteem and you just don't like being reminded of the way you look. Or maybe you don't even know why, you just feel this weird sense of dread whenever you're near one. What you might have is a very mild case of spectrophobia, defined as both a fear of mirrors and a fear of what you might see lurking within them. Spectrophobia is derived from the Greek word spectro, meaning image or to observe. It covers a wide umbrella of mirror-related anxieties. The condition's purview can even extend to the fear of getting 7 years bad luck from smashing a mirror. Spectrophobia, also referred to as catoptrophobia, is often developed very early on in life from traumatic personal experiences. The fact that there's also countless horror movies that utilize mirrors for their scares, from the 1979 movie Phantasm to the 2013 movie Oculus, definitely doesn't hurt the spooky reputation around this harmless household item. But for spectrophobes, the horror around mirrors doesn't stop when the credits roll. Linonophobia. There's no shortage of people who will happily tell you that puppets are creepy, from the murderous dummies in the popular Goosebumps series to the more threatening moments in that Disney classic Pinocchio. However, imagine if you had no problem with puppets, but were utterly terrified of the thing keeping them in the air. If that sounds relatable to you, then you probably have an extremely rare condition called linonophobia, an irrational fear of string. Yes, really, this is an actual phobia, we checked. Derived from the Greek word lino, meaning simply string, people suffering from linonophobia can experience extreme anxiety from even thinking about string. If they actually see a piece of string, or God forbid a ball, a panic attack is a possible outcome. Linonophobes are likely to avoid any location that could possibly expose them to string, such as fabric and craft stores. Seeing even a loose string on someone's clothes can be a traumatic event. How someone actually gets linonophobia beyond the vague idea of a traumatic incident involving string is largely a mystery. The phobia is so rare it can be difficult to obtain a decent sample size for a scientific study. Optophobia. It's likely that everyone watching this had to get up early at some point in their lives. As you try to wake, part of you really wants to keep your eyes closed and sleep for just a little bit longer. Or maybe you're at a movie theater watching what critics have called the scariest movie of the decade. During the first big scare, you clamp your eyes shut and hope nothing can get through them. This is an extremely mild version of everyday life for a person suffering from optophobia. That is the irrational fear of opening your eyes. The name is derived from the Greek word opto, meaning eye. People suffering from optophobia experience an immense fear that they'll be exposed to frightening stimuli if they open their eyes. Often comorbid with other phobias and generalized anxiety disorder, the core concept of optophobia is shielding yourself from things that might frighten you further. Optophobes seek to isolate themselves into areas they perceive as safe and lacking threatening visual stimuli. Suffering from this phobia can prevent you from doing pretty much anything, so it's crucial to get it treated with anti-anxiety medication and therapy as soon as possible. Arachibutyrophobia. Hard to spell, hard to pronounce, and even harder to understand. For millions of people worldwide suffering from peanut allergies, it's totally rational to be frightened of peanut butter. In mild cases, peanut consumption can result in rashes, and in severe cases, anaphylactic shock and even death. Arachibutyrophobia, however, is not just the fear of peanut butter. Specifically, it's the irrational fear of getting peanut butter stuck to the roof of your mouth. Seriously. This strange phobia often comes as a package deal with pseudodysphagia, the fear of swallowing or choking while swallowing. Its name is derived from the Greek arachis, meaning ground nut, and butyrum, meaning butter. The upside of this strange and extremely specific phobia is that it can be avoided by not eating Reese's Pieces and turning down PB&J sandwiches. However, if you're part of the extremely small demographic of arachibutyrophobes who also happen to really love peanut butter, there are other solutions. Like most phobias, arachibutyrophobia can be treated by controlled exposure in a clinical setting and a course of cognitive behavioral therapy. If the treatment goes well, rest assured you'll be back to eating handfuls of peanut butter M&Ms in no time. So there you have it, folks. Some of the most bizarre phobias people actually experience. Maybe the next time you see a spider, or you're asked to give a presentation at work, or you're sleepless with the thought of clowns, you'll think about this. At least once the fear is over, you'll be able to open your eyes, look at yourself in the mirror, and enjoy a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We here at the Infographics Show suffer from no-clickophobia, which is the fear of working really hard on fun content and nobody clicking it. So why not give us a hand by clicking this video over here? Or maybe you'd prefer this other one. Either way, we guarantee you'll have fun and you'll keep our writers from hiding under their desks.